Okay, welcome back to Amazing Mazes. Here we are in part 2 of making Bear in the Maze. We start off clicking on this little icon you can see up here of the red Pac-Man. We're going to start adding some artwork into our computer game. So if you just click on here, we're going to make some sprites. So let's go into Load Sprite, and then if you go down here to My Documents, and then you should be able to find the maze pack which you downloaded earlier. And if we go into here, we've got some resources, some examples in here. There's also a written tutorial in here which will tell you about how the maze games are actually made. But the maze game which we're going to make together is going to be slightly different because I've modified it. But if you're a person that just likes to read things and get like an overview of what we're going to make, you might find that helpful. But the thing we're going to make is going to be slightly different. So click on resources anyway. Now we're going to go and get the artwork that we need. If we come into here, look for the little yellow bear, there he is, click on him, he'll appear over here if you've selected him, and then just go open, and you see he's appeared inside Game Maker now. So we're just going to title this SPR_bear. Game Maker doesn't use spaces when you title things, so you have to use underscore instead. So let's make another sprite. Click on Load Sprite, back into here, then we're just going to go down here and we're going to find a piece of grey wall, so we can use wall to make our maze. Here we go. Let's click on open, and we'll call this one SPR_wall. There we go. And we'll just make one more sprite. Let's go into here, load this one, and this one here that's called bonus, and you see it's a coin that revolves, it's an animated sprite. Just click on that one, click on open, we'll call this one SPR_coin. There we go, and we've just loaded all the artwork into Game Maker which we need for this part, but what we need to do is to actually use it in the game, we've got to turn it into an object, a Game Maker object. Okay, so let's have a think about objects. What exactly is an object in Game Maker? Well, I'm just going to show you a short demonstration just to give you an idea of what an object actually is. Now, as if you can see here, I've got this little glass pot, and earlier on it was filled with something really nice and chocolatey, and I ate it, which was very nice. And now it's empty. But what we want to do is we want to make a bear, don't we? So let's just think about, what do we want the bear to do? Well, I've got some paper here, so let's write down what we want our bear to do. We want him to be able to move up, move down, move left, and move right. So that's the instructions we're going to give the bear. Let's get rid of that bit. You see, and all we do when we make an object is we just put the instructions into here. So one of the ways you can understand what an object is in Game Maker is that it's just an object that holds instructions. Now let me just show you one more thing. Now if I just carefully do that, oh, do up, right, there we are. Now, if I just do that, all I've done is I've just added a piece of artwork. What I've actually done is I've just added a sprite. And as soon as you add a sprite to an object, that's when the player can actually see it. That's when it appears. But the interesting thing about objects is you can have ones which have artwork on, have sprites, and you can also have objects which are invisible, and they often sit in the background of games and they do jobs like they play the music, they record the score, they do things like that. So that's basically what an object is. Okay, so let's actually make some objects now. So if you click on this blue ball here, open up the objects page, click on here. We're going to name this one obj underscore bear, obj bear or object bear, that's what that means. Click on this menu, add the sprite, so that's the artwork the object's going to have. Click on OK. Let's make another one. Let's call this one obj wall, obj underscore wall. And then we're going to do the same thing. Click on this menu, click on the wall sprite, and then we need to click on this box here that says solid, because we want the bear to bump into a wall. If we don't have that ticked, the bear will just float straight over the top of him, so we don't want that. Let's put that in. Now just make one more object, and this one we're going to call it obj coin, so obj underscore coin, and then we'll add some artwork in exactly the same way. Put that in. OK. So now we've got 3 pieces, 3 objects. Save your game. Let's go into here and call this one Bear in the Maze, or whatever you want to name your game. OK, and we've saved it. So next we need to make a sound effect. So click on here. I'm going to name this one SND coin. Now the reason we name our resources like this is so it's easy to match them up, because when you start making really big projects you could have over 300 different sound effects, and remembering which one actually goes with your coin could be pretty tricky. So click on My Documents, Maze, into the Maze resources, and then we're going to load this sound effect here called S&D Diamond. And you can click on this one, you can hear the sound that it makes. If we click on that, that will stop the sound, so you can check whether you've picked the right sound or not. So click on OK. So we've got our sound effect ready. Now we're going to actually build another bit. Let's open up your obj coin, and basically objects are made up of events and actions. Now events are what actually triggers something to happen, and actions are what happens next. So if you like, events are what cause things to happen, and actions are what you want to happen. So let's click on here. We're going to create a collision between the bear and the coin. So this is what happens when the bear bumps into a coin. Come over here, and if we click on Main Tab 1, click on this thing that says Play Sound, drag it over here, and then we're just going to go on this menu at the top here. Let's open that one up, and there's our sound effect. So just click on that, and we've loaded our sound effect. Okay, and then we're just going to click on this one called Destroy Instance, drag that one over underneath. So when the bear bumps into a coin, you're going to hear a little ding sound, and then the coin's going to disappear. So that's all we need to do in that object. Right, so let's just open our bear up, and finally we're going to give the bear some instructions. Now the player controls the bear, so we're going to give him some keyboard events. So let's go into here, into keyboard, and we're going to choose left, and this is for the arrow keys, so we're going to use arrow keys to control the bear. Go up here to this one that says move fixed, and drag it over. Click on the left direction and put in speed of 4. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again, add event, keyboard event, right arrow key. Drag this one over, click on right, speed of 4. Okay, do the same thing again, keyboard event, up, pull over move fixed, click on the up direction, speed of 4. Okay, and the same again, and this time we're going to do the downward key. Just pull that over, down direction, speed of 4. There we go. Now we need to add one more event. We need to tell the game what to do when the player's not pushing any keys. So let's go into here, keyboard, and down to here where it says no key. Pull moved fixed over here again. We want no direction and no speed. So we want nothing to happen. And then one more event, what happens when the bear bumps into a wall? And so we've got a collision event with the bear and the wall. Pull that over, no direction, so we click on the bit in the middle, speed 0, so we don't want him to do anything if he bumps into a wall. Okay, so save your work again. And now we're going to create a room. So click on this one, and this opens up. Now check up here, if it says 16 by 16, you need to change it so it says 32 by 32, because all of our sprites are size 32, so we need to do that. Go into the Objects tab. If you come down to this menu here, click on this one, click on the wall, and there's our wall object. And you can just click in these squares and start putting the wall into your room. The other thing you can do if you want to speed things up a bit, if you press Shift on your keyboard and you hold down your left mouse, you can just drag the wall along like this, and it'll just draw the wall onto your room, so it looks a bit like this. Makes it a little bit faster. And we're just going to put in some maze-like walls in here, so we can just test it and make sure that our bear moves around the walls, that he isn't floating over the top of them or doing anything strange like that. So I'm not going to make a full maze in here, I'm just going to draw a few bits of wall in here so I can test it, just to make sure that it works. You could make a much better wall. And if you do it wrong, just right click and you can click on delete, and it'll delete the object from the room. Okay, so there we go. Just put a few more bits in like that. There we go. So we've got a little bit of a maze there, and we can test it out. Oops. Let's just delete those. And there we go. And again, you can make a much better wall, you know, a maze rather, however you want to. Let's come back over here. Click on bear, because we need a bear inside our room, so let's put him there. And then we're just going to put some coins in the room so we can test it. And we need to make sure that when the bear bumps into the coins that they make a sound and they disappear. So just put a few in there. We're just going to make sure that what we've built so far works. So there we go. Okay, let's go into backgrounds. You see this bit that says colour. We click on here, we can change it to a different colour. I'm going to choose blue. Now we've got nice blue backgrounds, the coins show up. Okay, you go on this green bit here, and we're going to test the game. So here we go. Now we use the arrow keys, and we're just going to move the bear around and check that he's moving. But you can see that we have a few problems with the movement. Can you see that we have to get the bear exactly in the right place all the time by moving the keys around? Otherwise he kind of gets a bit stuck and he keeps bumping into walls. So though it's working alright, we haven't exactly got very smooth movement. So how can we make the movement a little bit smoother? Well, there's a very easy way we can do this. Let's have a look inside our room. Now, what's happening is we want the bear's kind of moving down through the squares, but sometimes he doesn't fully move into a square. Sometimes he only moves for halfway. And this particularly happens if you get very excited when you're playing because you press the key over and over again. So what we need to do to give him really smooth movement is to make sure that he moves fully into a square. And the way that we do that, we're going to use an action that's called check grid. So open your bear up again. If you go over here to where it says Control tab, and then grab this one that's called check grid and just drag it so it's on top of this piece here. And we're going to change this to 32. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to say if you're lined up with the grid of 32 by 32, then move. And it just makes sure that the bear is fully inside the grid. So we're going to add a check grid action exactly the same way to all our different events that we've put inside the bear. So let's click on that one, do the same here. Up here, 32 by 32. And then basically whatever the bear does, he has to be lined up with the grid each time, and this will really improve the movement of our game. Now let's add that one. Going to right movement for right, 32 by 32. Oops. There we go. And just one more, just do the downward keyboard movement. 32, 32. And there we go. Okay, so all of them now have check grid actions. Lovely. Okay. So let's try testing our game again. Press the green triangle up here. And then you can use your keyboard try moving your bear around. And when you finish testing, you can see the movement's much better now. Much smoother. We don't have as many problems. So when you finish testing, just press escape and you can return back to the screen where you were working. Okay, so here we are. Save your game. Now if you've tried making the maze game before and you've been having real problems with your characters getting stuck, I'm just going to show you why that happens. We don't really have that problem with the bear because he's working quite well. This is an easy problem that you can get with maze games. So I'm going to show you this now so you'll remember it in the future. If we have a look at our bear here, can you see there's hardly any blue space around the edge of him? But if we look at this coin, you can see there's a lot of blue space. And basically the problem occurs is when you're using a character where there's a lot of background space behind the character, where the character doesn't really fill the square very well. And I'm just going to show you the problem. You don't have to make this bit, this is just to show you how it works. So let me just make a little sprite up here. Okay. Let's just draw a little circle. There we are, a little blob. I'm going to fill it in with green. And you can see already that this particular sprite, there's lots of space all around it. Let's call this one SPR ball. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to open my bear and change his sprite so he's got the ball sprite now. If you have a look in the room, you can see he's changed to this green blob here. Let's just test the game and I'll show you what the problem is. Now you can see you can start off moving your character, but very quickly if he touches a wall it gets stuck. And it doesn't matter how many times you press the keyboard, nothing will happen now. The only thing you can really do is press escape to end the game. And the reason, there's quite a straightforward reason as to why this happens. I'm going to show you how you can stop this from happening. So let's go into this sprite of the ball and click on Modify Mask. Now if you have a look in here, you can see that the ball is shaded, and that's because Game Maker actually measures the ball when it's working out whether something's lined up or not. But that's not very good because it doesn't really work very easily in a maze game. It's what causes it to become stuck. But we can change this quite easily. If you come over here, let's have a look a minute. Aha! There we go. Click on Full Image and click on Rectangle. This time Game Maker's going to measure this box, and you see it's much easier for the box to be lined up in the grid than it is for the ball to be. So if we test this now, you'll see that the ball won't get stuck at all. So if you've been trying to make a maze game before this, and perhaps your character was something like a snake or a tiny little character like this one, and they just kept getting stuck all the time, that's what you can do to change it. All you need to do is put them inside a box. Let's change the bear so he's got his bear sprite back. Yeah, so if you remember this in the future, then any kind of character that you're creating, what you can do is you can modify the mask by just doing the same thing. Bear hasn't really got a problem because he's so big, but we're going to do this anyway just to make doubly sure there's no chance of him getting stuck. So click on Full Image, Rectangle. Okay, and if you just remember to do this whenever you're creating a character that can move, that you actually just modify the mask so that the mask is the whole square rather than just the character, you shouldn't have any more problems with your characters getting stuck when you're making a maze game. So next time on Amazing Mazes, we're going to add in a mechanism for the score, and we're going to transform the graphics and create a front room. See you there.